Hi there, it's Bridget here from Nurture Earth, and today I just want to give you the lowdown on one of my all-time favourite plants in the garden called Phacelia. It's not a plant that you can eat, but it has so many amazing benefits that I just had to share it with you. So it's basically an annual. It has a beautiful purple flower. It's originally from kind of southwest US and Mexico, and the flower itself kind of unfurls in a sequence. So it starts off and then it just slowly unfurls with lots of purple flowers, which means it has a really long flowering period. And the most amazing thing about it is that it's nectar rich, and the bees absolutely love it. They go for it, and if you have it coming up in your garden, you can just go out there and watch the bees all day. So that's pretty much the main reason why we want to plant it. We want to plant it to attract the bees into our garden. We always need to be providing bee food in our gardens. The other thing that it's really awesome for, that it attracts into the garden, is hoverflies, which are a beneficial insect that will help you deal with all the pests in your garden. They love eating aphids and all sorts of other horrible little creatures that eat your plants. So really big motivator to plant Phacelia. Some people might think, oh, what's the point in using up garden space with plants that you can't eat? Well, the thing is, if you want to grow a really awesome garden, you need diversity. You need lots of plants that are going to bring in the bees, bring in the beneficial insects. It's not just about you wanting to eat the food. Of course, that's really important. We want to grow lots of food for you, but in order for that food to grow, especially if it's a fruit tree or anything that flowers, and in fact most food that you grow needs a pollinator, so you really want to be bringing in those bees, and Phacelia will definitely do that. It's also really good to use as a cover crop, so otherwise known as a green manure crop, and now for us we call them compost crops. We're looking to grow all our own compost crops out of our garden, and so these kind of crops are really good if you've got an empty garden space with just soil and you're not really sure what to plant, or you have nothing to plant, or you're just really onto it and you want to grow lots of Phacelia. So it's a really good carbon crop. So when it's finished flowering and it all dries up, it's quite high in carbon. So we want lots of carbon in our compost. So that's another really awesome reason to grow Phacelia. It does get really quite prickly though when it's dry, and if you're harvesting the seeds, which I just have to say are the most beautiful seeds ever. They're really intricate. They're really beautiful. But yeah, it does get quite prickly, so you need to be wearing gloves if you're going to harvest it. When to plant? The best time to plant is now. We're in the autumn, but you can plant it in the spring and you can plant it in the summer as well. It's frost tolerant, so it's a really good option for people in cooler climates, and you don't need to worry about the frost killing it like some other crops like buckwheat. It does take a really long time to flower. You have to be patient. It's not like mustard. If you use mustard as a cover crop, it's going to come up really quickly. It's going to flower really quickly, and the same goes for buckwheat. Phacelia is not like that. It takes a long time. You can expect, depending on the season or where you live, what time of the year it is, etc., that it could flower usually around 2 months after it's first come up. So just be aware of that. But the flowers do last for quite a long time, a few weeks, so that's another really good thing for the bees, to have that source of nectar around for so long. How you sow it: you can sow it straight into your garden bed, you can throw seeds all over the garden and hope that it comes up everywhere, or you can plant the seed into a pot and then plant it out into the garden. Once you do have it in the garden, it will self-seed and keep coming up, and the little seedlings are really easy to spot with those fern-like leaves that come out. It doesn't really hold its weight well. It kind of will flop over and looks pretty messy in your garden, so you probably want to either tie it up or find somewhere on the outskirts to plant it. So where do you want to plant it? Yeah, on the outskirts of your garden or in its own bed by itself. Or last year I discovered that it does really well against a fence, especially if you've already got something existing growing, like I had some sweet peas growing, and the Phacelia came up and it grew up in amongst the sweet peas, and then I kept just tying it back against the fence, and it was amazing, and it looked really beautiful, but it won't hold itself up by itself. You need to give it something to climb up. So yeah, where else can you plant it? If you have an orchard, you definitely have to plant Phacelia. It's so awesome. You could plant it, I've seen it planted in the rows in between orchards, or you can plant it underneath your fruit trees. And yeah, you're going to bring in all those bees and provide a beautiful habitat for lots of beneficial insects. So just to recap, Phacelia, beautiful plant. It gets quite big, gets quite scraggly, planted against the wall. You can't eat it, but it's really good for bees, really high in nectar, and it takes a long time to flower, so you have to be really patient. And you can plant it now. So if you would also like to hear more about how you can attract bees and beneficial insects into your plants, then I created this really awesome free resource called The Handy Guide to Conquering Pest and Disease Naturally in Your Garden. It's really awesome. So I'm going to put the link below and you can have that for free. And you can also find us on Facebook under Nurture Earth, and we'd love to see you there and have fun growing your Phacelia. Till next time, ciao.